3 minutes long. So when I release to you, it's not just for you to play a game. I should get the taboo buzzer, but that would be really rude. Like, nah, someone's crying. They're telling you their deepest story, and you're like, nah. But anyway, the 3 minutes is just so that it doesn't get hijacked and go a different direction, just to give people time to talk. One of the things that I want to say that as we're developing this, now we're behind the scenes. Everyone say behind the scenes. Like I haven't invited people out there yet. I think Nathan's coming next week. We'll have some live music, things like that. We're going to do something different each week. But we're behind the scenes. Oh, you're so good. Okay. So we're getting some things right. Our goal, number one goal, is to teach people, train people, practice how to see within. How to see within. And then validate, cheer for, I'm going to trip over this. I've already done it twice. What they see. What you see, okay? We're going to really discuss this today. Dancing in the dark, that little spark that you see, okay? That's our goal here. So I'm going to speak for a few minutes, and then I'll release it to you, okay? I'll have a question for you to dialogue, and then I'll come back. Now, if you're in the middle of telling a story of like your deepest, darkest secret, it'd be good, leaders, if later you can follow up with that. Get to know people. Tell me your name. Deborah. She said that it's good to meet people that aren't weird. I go, oh, girl, we're weird. You know what I mean? Like, so people that are going to find us are people that are already seeing and hearing, okay? And what's been so amazing, how many of you guys were raised in the constructs of Christianity? Let me see your hands. Okay, so did you hear the word construct? Okay, so that's whatever your raising was, that was your boundary that you were supposed to see within. But then, how many of you guys went on into the charismatic church? Like you weren't Baptist any longer, you knew how to shun die because you got even more free, right? So we all compared ourselves, we're going up the ladder, and then we say, oh, we're not a denomination, we're non-denominational. But then you go to, literally in the yellow pages, we used to travel all the time, you can find non-denominational. I'm like, it's a title. You know what I mean? Like, that's my name, no name. But anyway, so people that are raised, whatever construct that you were raised in, you were trained or programmed to see within that construct. Those were your boundaries. But if you went on into the charismatic and the apostolic, all these different things, they were teaching you how to see in the spirit. And then, if you ever said what you saw in the spirit, we had to wrap it up. What am I seeing? My shirt? My what? What am I? My pants? He's trying to be subtle. I'm not very subtle. Okay. Am I okay? Are you talking to me, Travis? Oh, well, quit pointing. Okay. He said your shirt. I'm like, stuffing it in, So then you begin to see, and then you say what you see, and then somebody else wraps it up for you within that construct, whatever it is. I mean, we have to, because your mind starts freaking out. It can't be that. I was telling Breck the other day, I remember when I didn't read the Bible until I was an adult, okay? So Josie was, I would start reading Josie's my oldest, I would start reading like the cartoon Bible to her. Because I'm sitting in church, we traveled all over, and I didn't know who Hezekiah was. And they, someone would just throw out that or whatever. So I started just reading. That's as an adult in my 20s, okay? Well, I fell in love. I started diving into the scriptures. No one was telling me what it meant. I was like, but I remember getting a revelation, and it scared me because I had nothing to wrap it up in. And I remember I left it. Have you guys ever experienced that? Like you just go, I'm going to have to leave this here because it doesn't fit in anything I know so far, right? And so those are the constructs. We're not pushing against constructs. We're just letting the walls fall down. But the people that come, the people that will find us are already seeing and hearing. And if the kingdom of God is truly not here or there, but it's within, then that's our goal. My goal is to tap into that within you. The treasure is in you. It's not the sky God. We got that figured out. We know God created everything, okay? But it's within you. There's divinity. And so I used to, when we would do praise and worship, and the worship team's at the front, I would turn around and I would just look at people. Because there's the glory. That's God in the earth, right? And, we're hoping for somebody to come back. Have you seen what's going on? I heard someone the other day, they said, pretty much most of our prayers we're telling God what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, it's getting really bad. Do you think you could come, like, throw me a bone, rather than this empty space and you're crying out for someone to help you, what's been happening the last several years, and it's really a beautiful thing within Christianity, and then we're starting to wake up beyond it, is that within every cell of our being, we already are. We're remembering that we already are. So here's this. If we can get 2 of these over here, Monica, I'm not saying you guys are talkers. So when you hand that over, we're still behind the scenes. When you speak, and that doesn't mean you have to like get all nervous. I promise you what you have to say will fit in 3 minutes, okay? When somebody else wants to talk, get the second one. That way they're not getting a minute. And how many of you guys are rule followers? Okay, woo! Okay, I need you guys to throw out those little sand things because they don't mean anything to any of you. Okay. I figured. All right, so we ready to dialogue a little bit? I'll spit my gum out. Okay, it might be good in the future, which I was on Amazon today. I don't even know that there's really stores anymore. I just think it's a man that comes to my gate with Amazon packages. It's like Santa. Anyway, I was looking on Amazon just a few minutes ago about getting some clipboards, but it may be good when you come at different times. We'll do things that you can bring home, okay? Bring it a pen or whatever. Not every time, but I may get some clipboards, and we're really fancy. We're really high tech. I'm thinking clipboards. All right, you guys ready? Can I walk around, or what do you want me to do? Dance? All right. That was it. That's all you get. Okay, so how many of you guys are going through something? You don't know what it's like not to, or you have in the past gone through something that seemed very, very dark? Raise your hand. Okay, if you're a teenager, you guys can go play basketball because I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, so we've been walking through some stuff. And and my sister yesterday said to me it's hard. It feels as heavy as when my husband transitioned. It feels that heavy. In my emotions, in my mind, in my desires, in the levels of waves of fear that hit you, of being out of control. It feels that heavy. I'm just bringing that for a reference point. If any of you guys have where you just don't know what to do next, but you know that you have to center into the place where there's instruction, where the place inside of you where there's peace, okay? That's all you know to do. And you also are very thankful. And let me just say this, okay? Because I know we had a lot of people that passed in our church. We went through some stuff, but from what I hear, divorce is often harder than death, you guys. Because when someone passes, you can still keep them in that dream state. You know what I mean? And betrayal. So any level of darkness that hits your emotions that you have to process, all right, that's what I'm talking about. And in the midst of it, the truth of who we are is we are light in this earth. You were born for this time. You were born to be alive for this time, to shine. Now, that doesn't mean just put a smile on your face at the grocery store, okay? That means you understanding that there's light within your being, that the earth is looking for light, and they'll recognize it. If this whole room was dark right now and I just put up a little teeny light, everyone in the room would see that light, okay? You guys know the scriptures that go with it. There was a deep darkness, and I wrote this down, and I'm a visual, okay? So that's how I learn. If you're not, that's okay, but I just have been going in and out of this right now. This is what it has felt like within my own being. Now, it first feels like this when you haven't started doing the inner work, if you will. It first feels like this on the outside, circumstances, okay? That you guys have been in a room, or you've been in a hospital, or you've been in the USA, and it starts to feel heavy, where you panic. I had an encounter the other day, and I was just dropping in the water, and I was just going deeper and deeper. I saw different beings. It was really neat. But I'm learning to let go and not control. So even when I say to know thyself, it is to know God. Because the darker you get dropped down into that space, into the water, you can't even see your hand in front of you. They say that you lose track of which way's up. And it's like what Laura Reese was saying last week. When the wave hits you, the key is not to fight the wave, but to release, because you will automatically go up, right? But when you're in that darkness, when you're in that circumstance, when you're in that betrayal, when you're in that, oftentimes you fight, and you're in agreement with it, and you get stuck in that mud. You get stuck in that density. You don't know how to get out. How many of you guys have ever been in something you do not know how to get out? People do not know how to get out. They're looking for a way out. Okay, your mind, our mind will fail us. We're very proud in our mind, but when you get a concept, when you get a message, when you hear of a miracle, when you get a revelation, that spark in the dark, okay? That's just a door. It's just a door. If you don't go through the door, it just becomes a memory. So if I'm sinking in the water and it's completely dark and all of a sudden I see a spark of light. Maybe the sun came out from the clouds and hit the water, right? And all of a sudden, and I'm like tumbling, I don't know which way's up, and I get a spark. If I don't hold that spark to be true, if I don't go to the light, go to the light. If I don't allow myself to rise to that space, it just becomes a memory, right? And so how many times, because of the constructs we were raised in, we've prayed for something, we asked for something, and it's right there in front of us. It's right there within us. But our constructs wouldn't allow us to hold on to that light and to go through the door. And that's what we're learning to do, to go through the door. When Yeshua said that I am the light, I am the door, it wasn't I am, it was Ina, Aramaic. It was the I within the I. It was basically there's an I that you don't see. Look at your group really quick. And just tell them there's an I that you don't see. It's you. There's more of you guys. There's like 97% of you we cannot see with our sense realm. I was talking to Letha the other day, or yesterday. We had sound bowls at our house. I'm also sending that out. We're building a calendar. We're doing things like that at the Happy House, meditations, things like that. Elba's been doing a rebirthing. It's a lot of this right here. It's a lot of this on the inside, going into these dark spaces, okay? But I've been reading and hearing more and more that the original man or the Christ man or the last Adam, or if it's beyond that, your language, okay, the perfect man was born with 12 strands of DNA, not 2. Interesting. Maybe you want to research that a little bit. You'll even now, scientists will tell you, they call it junk DNA. They said that you use about just a few percentage of your DNA. Like 97% we don't use anymore. It's like unplugged. It's like you've been unplugged from something. Okay? So when I heard Spirit say that everything is colonization, I began to get the visual. We are beings of light. Okay? You're colonized, meaning someone disciples you or a culture comes in, the same way we did with the Native Americans, and we did on every continent. Humanity did on every continent, okay? And then you'll learn even more interplanetary, like interdimensional colonization. In other words, this is what it means to be a Christian, or this is what it means to live correctly, and I take away his culture, I take away who he is. I take away his art. I take away his thoughts. I unplug him from the truth of who he is, and I teach him how to be. Those are the constructs we've been living in. I'm speaking to you to help you begin to remember, because we're living in a day that we are awakening to the truth of who we are. And what DNA is, you guys, is memory. So that glimpse that you see is you. That vision that you saw, that dream that you saw, whatever's jumping in your heart, it really is you. You really are the Christ. You've been very what do you call it? When someone does it step by step. Methodically, humanity has been very methodically colonized to a darker space where you can't think for yourself. You don't know who you are. Before you know it, you can't even see your hand in front of your face. Know thyself is to know God. To know yourself is to know God. And that's why it's so important for us with the young people, with the little ones. They hadn't fully forgotten yet. They hadn't been colonized. We hadn't fully trained them. That part of you that you guys just said you weren't rule followers is because you're rebellious at heart, which is a good thing. You want to push against something. You don't even know what you're pushing against. You think it's your parents' voice. You think it's your president. Well, that is something we're pushing against. But anyway, don't quit pushing. You know what I'm saying? Don't settle. How do we settle? We do the same thing we did yesterday. What caused us to go to sleep? And listen, guys, I'm not waking up overnight. I've seen areas in my life that I knew that's why I was so thankful for the hard time when that happened, when Darren passed. I was thankful. Was full of gratitude. It shook me to the bone. It caused me to wake up. It was an opportunity to see. If I pointed or if I held on to the darkness, I would just stay in the darkness. We look at what's going on in the earth all around us. If all we're doing is pointing, it's because if this would change, I'm this way because of that. If you're pointing, you're going to remain in the darkness. So when I say the word, when you'll hear this over and over, that we have to learn to be neutral, that's that space that keeps, it's not neutrality because you don't give a darn. It's neutrality because you're not going to judge it. You're beyond it. When Yeshua came to the earth, they said he didn't come to judge. That means he didn't come to separate good and evil. He didn't live from that government. He lived from light. He only knew light. So we're going to be addressing duality a lot in here. Listen, guys, if you believed there was a hell, there's no way you're going to experience unconditional love. I mean, a physical hell that a God throws you into. Like, you show me one man in this room that's going to torment me or my children or my neighbor or even someone that we think is our enemy. I'm telling you, if Hitler was here today and they were just like people were beating him and torturing him, your heart would say that's enough at some point. It's the goodness in your heart that would say it. It's the God in you. If you wouldn't say it, it's because you haven't been introduced to the love that is greater, the light that penetrates everything. So that's what this is for. You could just kind of look at it. I know I'm saying some strong statements up front first. So the fluidity of spirit, the light, we are created from light and sound. It's frequency. It's fluid, you guys. Okay, so you're hearing all the time, there is no separation. You're like, what do you mean? The further that we have been colonized, that's all we see is separation. I see you. You're different from me. You're separate from me. Oh, your ideology's different. Your skin color's different. Your gender's different. And then we push against it, that's what darkness is defined at. It's also defined, when you look it up like scripturally or whatever, it's ignorance. To keep us ignorant, okay? So when Yeshua came, he said that the Malkuta, the kingdom, which is Aramaic was the word Malkuta, it wouldn't have been translated kingdom. It was Basilia, was Greek, which is feminine. That means the perception of God is perceived. There's a part of you that when Yeshua came, he said it's not physical, it's not here or there, it's perceived within. That's the part of you that's been unplugged. If mankind was ruled from within, man couldn't rule over man. So even when the scriptures were rewritten, which we'll go into that later, we'll probably have a whole weekend talking about that, whoever wants to be a part of it. Even when the government came in, y'all, they politicized Jesus. Even that name, Jesus, it comes from Hail Zeus. It's not his name, but we've been programmed. Okay, Yeshua, it would be his name. Joshua, I wanted to get a shirt that says, Joshua is my Lord, just to kind of freak people out, because it's so ignorant. We have been colonized with our verbiage. Okay? We fight over the constructs, the concepts, when spirit is fluid. So someone says no separation, you're like, what do you mean? I'll give you something else that's in us. It's in us. This is the program. If you still think that there's a chosen people, you miss the whole reason of the cross. I mean, that's really clear. He brought all mankind, if you want to go scripturally, he brought all mankind within himself, breaking down the separation between the Jew and the Gentile, making one new man. Go look up what that means, one new man. So if we're still saying, I choose Palestine, I choose Israel, because you think God does, you don't even know. I'm talking to us about our conditioning. Because there were so many things I was conditioned to believe. But when you get with a child, I remember you guys, Josie. Josie was my little redheaded, freckled, pale-faced child, okay? Her best friend, their parents were mixed. Their name was Dawn and Donnie, and they were very mixed, weren't they, Teresa? She was like white. She would do her makeup really, really white, and he was a dark black man. He was very dark. And that was Josie's best friend. She was there all the time. And I'll never forget it. We're walking through the grocery store one time, and Josie's probably 5 years old. Like, she should have figured this out, you know? And she sees this couple that's interracial. She goes, Mom, that man's married to a white woman or something like that. And I just kind of looked at her like, I mean, she spent every day with her best friend in an atmosphere, but she never saw anything different. It wasn't until culture, it wasn't until thought process, it wasn't until the collective consciousness told her that there was something different. And I went, Josie, I said, Dawn and Donnie. And I mean, she went, these are children. I'm talking to you because we're children. This is before you were taught the constructs. And she went, oh, huh. So bringing us back, he said, if you want to see the kingdom, the Malkuta, if you want to see the perception, the empowerment that's within every cell of your being, you've got to become like a wordless infant is what that means, a child. That's that space of allowing all those constructs to go as you float down in the water. And guess what, which we'll go into this in a minute, it's scary when you start sinking in the water and go into the darkness because you start feeling it in your nervous system. You want to respond. When I said the thing that I'm walking through, I'm so thankful. I'm not thankful for what's happening out here. I'm thankful for the process in here and how hard it is so that I can go into the dark places within my own being so I can hold on to the truth of that I am light. And I came to this planet to show you the way that you are light. But as long as I'm in agreement and I'm fighting the darkness, that scripture that says, don't put your light in a bushel. No, I'm going to let it shine. Okay? That basket is a measurement. That's what it meant. They would measure wheat. Okay? That whole parable is about the fact that you are immeasurable light. You can't even measure it. Don't put a measure on it. Don't put a construct on it. Don't label it Christianity. Don't label it any religion. Even your name. Just don't label it, man. Just let it begin to, the process is happening already in you, and I'm so excited to be a part of it. So let's do this really, really good, all right? I need my sand in there, Laura. It's the 15-minute one. It's in that bag in there. Maybe it's in front of me, the Texas bag. So while we're getting the Texas bag, I just want you to know that I got this Texas bag from Goodwill because I thought it was cool. And then I realized that when I got home, that I was the one that dropped it off at Goodwill. I'm thinking about bringing it back just to bless them. Just kidding. Okay, so number one, leaders, this is what I want your help with. Use the sand. Scoot in if you can't hear. There's no reason for you to be here if you can't hear. The question is, I want you to give an example of a time that you were in deep darkness. And Isaiah said, deep darkness covered the earth and a light has come. That in your personal life, deep darkness, it could be ignorance. It doesn't have to be pain. We don't have to one-up each other. Oh, what? You were only beat for a week? I was beat for 40 days, That's not the thing. It can be darkness, confusion, okay? And when you got a glimpse, you could have got a word. You could have had a revelation. You could have had a vision, okay? And then how you held on to that light. How you're able, maybe you're still in it, but how you're able to hold on to that revelation, that understanding. All right, ready? 15 minutes, go. Woo! All right. You guys ready to take a pause? Pause that thought. All right, let me say this because we're behind the scenes. We're probably always going to be behind the scenes. If someone's talking and the mind, be aware of your mind. We'll talk about this a lot, in fact, we're going to discuss this in your groups here in a minute, but becoming the observer of your thoughts, okay? You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts have been programmed within the constructs of your raising, your culture, the day that you lived in, right? If you were the same being, all right, let's do this real quick. Everyone close your eyes, kind of Release your mind, okay? It's you. Get a sense of you. Don't name yourself. Just get a sense of you. Just hold that. And I want you to picture yourself in the 1920s in the middle of Chicago and see what you see. If you can see yourself, it's you in the middle of Chicago in the 1920s, nod your head. Okay, all right. Now get a sense of you, it's you. I want you to see yourself in the 1800s on a different continent, and you're a different gender. There's only two. In the 1800s, there was only two. All right, so see yourself. It's you. Just see if you can even see that. You're not defined by your gender or your color. It's you. It's the presence of you. If you can see that, nod your head. Okay. Doesn't mean you're a cross-dresser. You're okay, man. All right, I want you to get a sense of you. It's the sense of you. You feel who you are, the essence of you. And I want you to see yourself on another planet, in a city with beings. Get a sense of who you are. Maybe you don't look the same. Maybe you're still the other gender. I don't know. If you can get a sense of that, nod your head. Okay, I like it. And here's one more. I want you to see yourself non-existing. You don't exist at all. There's no sense of you. It's completely gone. All right, now you can look at me. They say the one thing that's impossible is for you to imagine yourself not existing. Now, you could see your funeral because you're there, but who's seeing the funeral? I'm trying to help you to locate the truth of who you are. You are the observer. But we've been defined and we've been programmed in those definitions. That is what we see, the confusion and all these with the generations pushing against, okay? They're pushing on the outside, don't define me, but they're after something that's the reality of who we are is on the inside. You are limitless. There's no boundary. So even when you're sitting here and talking, okay, and if you'll practice this, the ones that practice this will grow, exponential growth, just in life, while you're here on this planet, okay? When you're talking to someone, I used to say it like get curious, like I don't define him. My mind may, I'm aware, my observer, who I am, may say, oh, I should be afraid of this man, he's different, or oh, this man must be he's knocking at my door with a tie on. Who's that? It's the Mormons or the Jehovah's Witness. You know what I mean? Like your mind defines, okay? If he knocked at my door, I wouldn't think he's a Jehovah's Witness. Okay, that's the mind. But I'm observing those thoughts. And from the observer, then I start looking at him beyond the thoughts. Now I can begin to experience him, like I'm curious. This is how you can find yourself, this is what it means to be born again. Even like in relationships, if you've been married a long time, it's easy to do with someone you don't know because you haven't defined them. People that you know, that's why Yeshua couldn't do any miracles. None of that. Just kidding. He couldn't do any miracles in his own hometown because they already defined who he was. Who defined it? People defined it, and they put the limitations on their own experience. So even as you're sitting in a group or what's going to help you in life, when you're sitting with your boss who you've already defined, understand it's your mind. The smallness of my mind is what defined it, especially if they hurt me. I can't see past it. That's the programming. So once you realize that you're the observer of that, okay, you don't not feel the pain of what happened, but you also can see beyond it. See, this is the deep darkness where you can't see beyond it. You begin to float up when you let go of the control, you let go of the definitions, and the way we practice it in this little teeny group is I just get really curious. And I let my mind even go. This is what the whole Course in Miracles is about, if any of you guys went through the Course in Miracles. I let my mind even go that he's human. Let alone that he's a man, that he has dreadlocks, that I know his name. I know his character. I've been around him a little bit. But instead, I just kind of get curious. So not only am I learning to be the observer of me, I'm able to be the observer. It's characters in a play, you guys. We're watching a theater. We're part of a theater. You guys remember when, those of you guys that were around, when Nathan came and he literally broke it down where death, what we experience as death, is a theater. It's not real. We know it's not real. Once it happens and you're walking into it, you're like, well, what the heck is all this about? But we're experiencing. But to truly experience it, if to come out of the darkness, Sheila, I have to come out of the definitions in my mind. And so I purposely put myself in situations, and I'm doing it again more and more, that cause my mind is a heckler. Listen now, jokes. The ones that come out are usually, I have to go through a few files before I let them out my mouth, right? How many of you guys are like that? The heckler. And so I went to yoga. I wasn't looking for truth outside of myself. I'm not looking for another system. I could care less about the systems. Okay? So I went to yoga, and while I'm in the yoga pose, I understand all the gods and all the things and everything that we're told not to do. Okay? I'm not looking for God outside of myself. I'm observing the heckler. And the whole time I'm in yoga, I'm like, what the, they think that this, it's the voice that I've been taught. It's the program. I'm not telling you to go embrace yoga. I'm not telling you to go embrace, but go around things that offend the mind on purpose. The most ignorant people only have friends that agree with them. I remember Jared said this. I really didn't like it. And then I'm like, oh, I did read that. I did. He said, if you haven't read a book about Christianity from an atheist, you probably are, right? Well, of Course in Miracles, she's an atheist. Just so you know, she believed in God. And then she began to channel like this voice that like rocked the world. Anyway. So we're talking about coming out of darkness. I'm talking about coming out of darkness. So whenever some things that were just beginning and happening with a little one in my life that I just absolutely love and I feel so out of control in it, I would pace the floor knowing I'm not willing to lift my hands and let go of control. Because the conditioning is if I lift my hands, if I become neutral, if I just observe this, then this, and this is going to happen. The script is in place. Equalized, what is it? Equivocated. Just equivocated? Is that right? Okay. Equivocated. I equivocated. I don't know what I did. Okay. Of letting go of as being passive. And if you've been hurt, if you've been like, and you have been hurt, okay, you don't want to be passive. You can't let go of the control. In all sincerity, we got to fight for our right. Okay? But there's no trust in that. And some of us are baby steps. Listen, guys, it's okay if you just get up you just barely begin to see. Some of you guys have been like, Vince said this to me. He's like, a few years ago, I'm like, what the heck is she talking about, right? But he stuck around because there was something deeper in him that was curious, right? And it's okay if you can't fully hear. I know I'm purposely saying like I hit hell straight up, okay? I know I'm doing that on purpose, okay? I was raised Catholic. You know what I mean? The whole system comes down if you take away hell. But anyway, is the point. But when Yeshua went into darkness, when he went into hell and he led this is what Spirit talked to me about this morning. It was within you. How many of you guys have experienced deep, dark hell? Anybody? Am I the only one? All right, back there I see your hand. He went in, the consciousness, the light of that he fully became human, God in human form. It was the same thing. Man had forgotten the way we have forgotten. And then what they did is they couldn't allow men to wake up. He said, you're going to do greater. We know all these scriptures. When they put the scriptures together, they couldn't allow that many Christs. They couldn't allow mankind to be governed from within. So they put it within a construct. So that now we're in bracelets that we have to remember back. We're like, yeah, but I'm not Jesus. I'm not Yeshua. I'm not him. Well, then you miss the whole point. Because the whole reason he said, I can't stick around because you'll look to me. And so I'm talking to you, the program to try to jolt us out of the program. Like one thing leads to another. I know not everybody thinks like this, okay? But if you see a termite, guys, in your house, what do you know? Think like that. If you see a glimpse of light, just a glimpse, just a little bit of hope. Could this be true? Think like that. If you begin to think like that and get so thankful for that one little termite, your house is coming down. It's going to deconstruct. If you begin to see that, listen, that's why even as you're talking or someone has this, I would get books. I felt like the Spirit told me to get books. I probably got 50 books in the last 3 years. And some of them I opened up, I'm like, I do not know what that's talking about. I didn't have a grid. So all I need to do is just keep letting go, keep trusting the process. Things will get clearer and clearer in your life. You'll begin to go, oh, no one can give me truth. I am truth. Well, this is easy. How many of you guys have done it the hard way? And we used to carry around that easy button, and then it's easy. And then your mind tries to make it hard. It's like, what the heck? This should not be this easy. Let's make it hard. Right? But that's us floating to the top. Did I not finish the statement? Surely. Equivocated. This sounds too much like defecated. Desiccated. Defecated. I don't know what I did, but I wouldn't let myself let go because it felt like a passive space. But that's where I don't know God, source. That's where I don't trust. So then when I'm saying it, I'm not even saying it for y'all. I'm saying it for me, that the trees know how to grow. The sun knows how to shine. The earth just keeps us. I mean, how many of you guys remember, did you guys remember panicking if the earth doesn't spin just right, we could go flying off in science when you were a kid? Like the things we feared in the 80s, they said, quicksand? I mean, we were terrified of quicksand. I've yet to walk in it. And lava? I mean, yes. If you go near a volcano, I am not a virgin. Do not throw me in that volcano. Okay. Just kidding. Sorry, that was just extra. So this is what we want to do. So then I would equivalent, being passive, and I don't want to be passive. So Christianity or conservatism or patriotism is defined as you got to roll up your sleeves and you got to fight. But what we don't realize is it keeps the fight in place. If we truly believed it was finished, there would be no fight. There would be a celebration. So you see that little bit of light, and you may hear, that's what I was saying when I got the books. You may hear someone's revelation, but go, I don't know all that. Okay, maybe not. But where is the spark in your life? That's what's going to lead you out. The door is within you. The light is within you. Now, maybe something I say invites you, okay? But these discussions, this part, and you go, that's the part of you that you have to validate and you celebrate. At least I have peace here. I remember fighting for peace, okay? But like I said, excuse me, I just turned my head to cough in the mic. I would go out and I would realize that there's harmony all around us. So we're having to relearn about the earth. It's just you that's jacked up. That's what I heard the Spirit say to me. No, I'm kidding. I made it complicated by agreeing with the darkness, agreeing with the colonization, agreeing with the separation. And then you're fighting your way through it. And I'm telling you, even this next year, you guys, the pressure, and this is what Teresa was saying to me, and I know it's true. It still makes you mad when people say it's for you. It's for you. I'm not saying the situation, let's not get into, did God cause people to hurt people? Like, no. But it's for you if you're willing to go into that space. In you. What you're looking at is yourself in the mirror. Listen, our prayers mean nothing about the wars that are going on when there's a war going on in us. They mean nothing. They're just like crying out from the same space, okay? We are here to learn our authority. Your authority is frequency. If you look at these as waves of frequency, okay? Just go up. Just keep letting go and trust and go up. I must still be alive for a reason. I don't know why I didn't die as well. Okay, there's something I don't know. And I'll say this and then we're going to break. You guys remember this story, some of you. But when Joni was like 2 years old, and I'm following her, I actually have it on Instagram. It's really cute. And she just thinks she's a big something, and she starts climbing the fence. There's horses on the other side of the fence. That's fair. She wants us to see the horses. She's not even 3, okay? She doesn't know I'm within 10 feet. She's climbing. When she gets her foot over it, I grab the back of her shirt. And I have a picture of her. She looks at me like she is so offended. Like she's crying. Why can't I just flip over this fence and go see the horses? And nothing I said to her would comfort her. Nothing. That's what God would say to me, Spirit would say to me. In time, you'll know. So when you don't understand, and you're trying to understand, and you're trying to make sense of it, and you're in that space, you are in your head, you are in the agreement with the darkness, and you can't get out that way. It's realizing that's why it's so good to get around the ocean, to get around nature, to get around something that has peace that you can move into. So even as we break this next time, you can be listening, but you also can be looking at people's life. Letha right here. When she just begins to talk, there's such peace in her. I know that she's been through some stuff. She's raised kids. She's been married for how long? Almost 40 years. That's a lot. That's like 40 years in the wilderness, y'all. So when somebody like that talks, it's up to you in your wisdom if you can go through that door. It's not even what she says or what you think that she says. It's in the tone. It's in the tone. And all of a sudden you hear a tone and you're like, oh, wait a minute. That's why it does carry value when someone looks at you. That's why Laura and Chris are still here, is when someone looks at you and they're like, we're going to make it through this, right, Danny? Like there's not an option. We're going to make it through. So even as we break, it's not, your mind wants to put value on what it decides to put value, definition on experience. So forget that person that's across from you. Forget their gender, race, and all that. Get curious and hear from them and understand there's a door in it for you. So you can finish what you were doing, or I want you guys to give an example, and leaders kind of start this with when you were stuck in the separation in your mind. I thought it was love, you guys, to protect my kids this way. That's how I was taught that you're supposed to do. But I had no idea how much it was fear and how much I taught them. If you guys ever watched The Village, it's a really good show. You should go watch The Village. They kind of do it kind of scary, but it's not scary, but it's all about control, okay? So I thought if they got outside this boundary, man, they're going to be off into the abyss. And so I kept them in the boundary. Well, guess what then their experience is? Fear, not love. So leaders, I want you to give an example of when you were in that space and you thought it was love, but it really was separation, and how your heart's beginning to open. Maybe it's fully open, maybe it's not, to what union is. Here's the deal. What you're describing is the more you go up. Listen, in this space, it's fluid. I picture this like the earth. You go down to the earth and then you hit rock and you can't move, right? That's the separation in the atmosphere. But up here, it's fluid. So people don't have to tell you there's no separation. You're like, oh, yeah, we're all one. It's all one thing. Go. So here's an example. You guys remember the story of the woman at the well? And according to Scripture, whatever, but it basically didn't say that Yeshua read her mail. It didn't tell her everything she knows. Basically, it was just like, you guys worship on this. This is how God is really worshipped. Give me some water. Oh, what water? Thirst. I'll give you water that you'll never thirst again. That was the key of the whole thing. Historically, they said that her name was Fotini. Okay? So here's this woman he said, if you knew who I was, you'd be asking for a drink from me. I'm going to give you water that's never going to end. What is this water? I want this water. Yeshua begins to speak to her about a well that's within her own being, right? Well, homegirl got it. He says, you've been married. Go get your husband. I don't have a husband. Well, you said that correctly. You've been married 5 times. Basically, he addresses her seeking. You've been looking on the outside for something that's on the inside. It's not physical water. It's not a physical human, okay? It's something that's on the inside. So then she goes back, what it says in Scripture. She goes back and tells the city, come and hear a man that told me everything about me. Well, what we can read, I'm sure there was more to it, and he didn't tell her everything about her, but she saw the spark. She was living in the darkness. She was in the deep, deep darkness, and she saw the light. Some were able to see it, some were not. Okay? She saw it. Well, then historically, and I forgot this on the printer. Thank you, Xavier. Historically, that they said that her name was Fotini, with a PH. I had a book on her. They said later that she discipled more people than the apostles. Have you guys ever heard that one? Miracles. She traveled. She was in Africa, different places. She went to Nero's house. He was trying to seduce her and get her to stop. They said she has 5 sisters, 2 sons, and they were basically turning the world upside down. It was the increase. It was the increase of the light. It was what she saw, and other people all around her could be hearing the same thing, but not hearing. But she took it into her life and was transformed, and history says that they beat her hands. Nero beat all their hands until they couldn't use their hands, but she couldn't feel it. Because by this point, she's already drinking from that well. She already knows that she's beyond space and time. She already knows that she's beyond this human physical construct. Okay? Which is what the governments always try to shut down. It's what people always try to shut down. It wasn't about a written book, the gospel. The word gospel means good news. Okay? It was about the light, the living river that's inside of us. That's what the outside governments, that's what our parents, our coaches, your own mind will try to shut down because you can't control it. Okay? I'll read to the sea. Fotini and her 5 sisters were brought to the reception hall, and they tried to seduce him, basically with the riches of this world, because they were turning governments upside down. When Nero sent his daughters, they get baptized and get full of we have Christ. Then he's ticked, right? Let's see. When the emperor heard that his own daughter had been converted to Christianity, he condemned Fotini and all of her companions to death by fire. For 7 days, the furnace burned, and they were in the fire for 7 days. They opened the door, and none of them were hurt. They were already living in a different space. They already knew that they were living. They were beyond this space. That part of you that just practiced understanding your essence, that's what we're here to do. And understand you're the observer. That's when I say here, I mean here in the earth to do. That there is no death. You're observing all of it. Okay? So they were not harmed when they opened the door. Excuse me. Next, the emperor tried to destroy the saints with poison. He gave them the vaccine for COVID, and he gave them COVID. But she already knew that she wasn't that. She was beyond that. She already knew that she was living water, that there was a flow, we're not supposed to get sick, you guys. That is the colonization. You have to convince humanity that they're weak in order to rule over them. But we're waking up and we're not complying. So what we want to do, even as we talk about untethered, it's in every area coming out of the systems. There's momentum in your life. There's momentum that begins to grow. You don't have to get it all at once, but you begin to get this one part. You come out of the system with the agreement with the health, the medical system. You don't have to say, oh, no, it's all evil. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about we are becoming untethered, okay? So she already knew that the vaccine or COVID wasn't going to kill her and that none of them they poisoned them, okay? Then in vain, Nero subjected Fotini and her sisters and her sons and friends to every known torture. Just trying to get her to break. just trying to get, this is the darkness. And here's the good news, light workers, light beings. Once you begin to see that you are light, you're going to get dropped right back down into the darkness. That's where we're in this 3D reality to do, to shine in the dark places. That's why the judgment has to come out of us, because if we're judging it, we're a part of the system. So when it says that Yeshua went into hell, he went into the consciousness of man where the darkness was, and he led them out. People say it's an illusion. It is an illusion, but as long as you believe it to be real, it's real to you. What do you want to do? What do you want to create? What do you want to be? You can feel, you can create, you can be whatever you want, okay? Your experience is defined either by the constructs of your mind, or you let that go and you begin to get in harmony. You begin to see the truth of who you are. And Fotini and her sisters began to see it. They name all the sisters. I really like that. On the radio this morning, they were naming. They said, we need to thank the veterans, and they were naming them. We don't even know their names. The gospel, the good news, not the book, okay, it did increase. What do you think the Dark Ages was about? Humanity had to shut it down so that we could rule over each other and keep us contained within this reality. Anatole, Photis, I like this, Photo. I don't know the other names. Karaoke, just kidding. It says that. And her 2 sons. Okay. And then at the end of this thing, you can begin to Google her or whatever, but she understood. It clicked. What he said out his mouth, it clicked in her life. She held on to it. Maybe nobody else did. It didn't matter. Maybe it wasn't popular. It didn't matter. Maybe there wasn't a church service for her. Maybe no one understood her. It didn't matter. She began to drink from that space, and she literally turned her world upside down. What's possible for us? What's possible for you? It's not about just surviving and overcoming that one thing. It's for you. It's forging you. We are forged in the fire. Monica, if you will, come up, and I want you to tell your story. I want to ask you guys questions right now, but I'll wait on how it's doing. Because I know it's like, when you don't know how to get out of the dark place, you find someone that's been in that situation and gotten out of it. If you don't know people like that, you literally can get on YouTube and find story after story. You can look for the light, and then it'll spark within you. And you can hold on to it, and then you begin to realize that you are a light being. You'll begin to remember, and that's what's happening. And there's an increase as you work with it. If you don't work with it, you're still growing, but there's not an increase in it. And, you know, when I looked at my time here left on this planet right now, I'm like, all right, what am I here to do? Not like roll up my sleeves and get something done, but what am I here to do? And all I hear Spirit say is fully see who you are, fully become. Well, that pissed me off, excuse my language, guys, but I felt like that was passivity. If they were trafficking children next door and I'm just in here in the Zen position, I'm in peace. And I would literally say, F peace, because I got to fight, because they're in pain. I don't want to be in peace when someone else is in pain, okay? But I didn't know that attitude was me fighting against the truth of who I am. So let me say this. When Yeshua came to the earth, there were the Essenes. There were not the Patriots, what are they? Zealots. There were the Pharisees, the Sadducees, all these constructs of political. I read this book on the political dynamics when he came to the earth. It was actually by Bill O'Reilly. It was really good, and a historian, okay? But he didn't join any of the constructs. The Essenes didn't care what was going on. They just wanted peace. They were away from all of it, okay? They weren't implementing that peace. They weren't, bringing it, bringing the light into the world. They were escaping from it. The Zealots, or the Patriots, God told me I was a zealot. You guys remember when we believe historically or whatever, when we read it, we think it was Peter, never really says that, drew his sword and cut the soldier's ear off, right? And he said, look, dude, if you're going to live by that, you're going to die by it. Those were the zealots. Let's fight for what's right. And literally, Yeshua was saying, let go of the sword. It's not of this kingdom. I'm showing you how to win. I'm showing you how to scoop humanity up. But it's going to be from going within in the darkness in you. Peter? So that was the zealot. Peter the, zealot. Do you guys remember? Okay. The Pharisees, they were the religious group of the day. He didn't join into any of them. He just fully learned who he was. Full consciousness that I am heaven and earth. There's not a place. It's not somewhere else. It's all right here. The gospel, the good news, if you'll begin to look at it, if you're still, reading it, it's all within your own being. This morning, I began to hear about Jacob's ladder, and it's the ladder of DNA. Angels going up and down. God began to speak to him about the truth of who humanity is, the way God's speaking to you, the awakening. Have you guys ever heard about Fotini? Not the full story, yeah. There's more. And that's what, I cut my teeth on, I would read my kids their nightly stories. I told you this is why they still are in therapy, but we're about the martyrs. They're not in therapy. I'm like, are you going to give your life for what, Josie? She's 7. But the stories are so beautiful because they literally, you guys don't remember the story when they're walking around, they cut their head off and they're still singing and they're holding their own heads. It wasn't like, oh God, I hope I get there one day. I mean, Nero would light him on fire and dip him in the tar and light him on fire to light up his courtyard. And they would sing because they understood that they're beyond this. It's not a mental thing. It's an experiential thing, okay? So as the observer, I learned to not deny what I've created so far. So I see darkness, and I allow. I'm not that darkness. You may have done it. It may have been done to you, okay? You may have feelings of hate. You may have it doesn't matter. None of that matters. You are not just that. Okay? So once you begin to observe it, you can come above it and begin to heal it. Who are the healers? I just saw Wendy. Who are the healers in this room that you're here to help people heal? Raise your hand big. Okay, that's who we are right there. Okay, we're going to start just offering all kinds of healing. That's why. Don't miss it. Don't think you're already there unless you're operating as Christ. We will know it when you're there. Sorry, that was rude. We will know it. The earth will know it. Oh. But it's painful, y'all. It's painful. It's painful because we've been conditioned. And I said this, and someone said, can you elaborate on this with your nervous system? We'll touch base on it. But the nervous system is when you become the observer and you understand you're not that, then you can begin to observe your own thoughts, your body's reaction, the triggers, all of it. Once you begin to observe it, you don't have to respond to it. That's when you begin to respond from the deeper space. It's not a story about Fotini. She was able to tap into the truth of who she was. She saw that light. She pulled it within her own being, and she became that. She became who she was.